Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rev Left Radio. On today's episode, I have back on the show Comrade Garlic to discuss the current situation with Kevin Rashid Johnson, namely his cancer diagnosis and his brutal mistreatment within the prison system. We also talk about the organization more broadly, Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party, their mass organization and some developments therein. Also some organizations that work in alliance with the RIBPP or have in some ways contributed or shown solidarity with them. A bunch of them are mentioned and shouted out in the episode. All the links mentioned in this show about how to apply pressure to help out or even just to follow the news so that if and when another phone zap or another action is needed on Rashid's behalf, you'll be there to see it and hopefully participate. Anything at all in this situation helps a lot, and as we mentioned in this show and in the Kevin Rashid Johnson interview we did a year or so ago, showing that there is a number of people outside of the prison that care or are in continuous contact with certain prisoners, particularly political prisoners, is in and of itself a safety mechanism, a protective bulwark for that individual prisoner, because the worst brutalities and depravities and dehumanizations can be inflicted on people in the corrections institution, especially when they feel like they are out of sight and out of mind. When the people in the prison that are being dehumanized have nobody on the outside watching their back or caring about them, it's open season. So it's particularly important just with phone zaps or anything like that to participate if you can. It's a simple and easy way to show them that somebody like Rashid has people on the outside that deeply care and have his back. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Comrade Garlic about Rashid's cancer diagnosis, the mass organization, and much more. Enjoy.
Hey everyone, all positive people. This is Comrade Garlic from the Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party. I'm the Minister of Justice, and just kind of here to talk about our recent events centered around our Minister of Defense, Kevin Rashid Johnson.
Absolutely. Well, welcome back to the show. Always a pleasure to speak with you, and folks might remember you from basically the interview we had with Kevin Rashid Johnson, which we did, I think, a year or so ago, but I also put it on our Best Of series that we just released this spring. So people have probably heard it, and you were instrumental in making that interview happen. And this is kind of, in some sense, a follow-up on what's going on with Rashid and his situation. So let's just start there. What exactly is going on for people that have no idea what's happening?
So recently, we found out that a comrade has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. On the 1st of July, this is when we first got news of this. They took 13 samples out of a biopsy performed on June 23rd, and 11 of them were malignant. And so it kind of seems like what we think is what happens is that the prisons actually knew about it well before this came out. So like there was he had his blood drawn on October 8th of 2021. And, so he had a PSA levels of 14.3. I think a normal PSA level is supposed to be around like 4. So, around this time too, was when he was in Ohio. And that's when he was faced with, large white supremacist repression, pretty much being like to his face, verbally threatened, like, we'll kill you in here. We'll make it look like an accident. This is that, and this. They were trying to get prisoners they were trying to put hits on them through the other incarcerated folks. That, obviously that didn't happen, but they were trying to bribe them with, various privileges and whatnot. Fast forwarded, after, he got sent back to Virginia is when, the testing and all that started to happen. So, we us and, of course, a large help from Mary Radcliffe from the San Francisco Bay View. We started a phone zap, a movement to, get people calling and give them treatment because, cancer's serious, and it moves quickly. We finally Rashid was finally seen on the 20th of July. Um, so, there he was told that 2 weeks from then, he would have to make a decision to either start radiation or surgery. So we haven't quite got to that point yet to see if they actually follow up with the 2 week timeline. But if not, we're going to definitely start pushing again for the calls and emails and whatnot as well. He's been suffering. Now I guess they call it cancer fatigue. He's extreme exhaustion. He's having body aches, swelling of arms and legs, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal. You were mentioning the white supremacists sort of in the Ohio correction facilities, and it's linked to what is the argument or the speculation just that there was actively poor treatment that could have exacerbated, or that they knew that he had cancer but they kept it from him? What's the exact claim there?
Yeah, that's exactly what we think. We think that they knew as early as then, and purposely did not act on it. I think we've seen plenty of times with the prison system how if they can't outright kill you, they're going to kill you in some sort of way, be it the shitty food. And realistically, and almost like it's almost like, yeah, of course he's got cancer now. Like you got poor nutrition, terrible hygiene schedules. He's told me plenty of times whenever he is released, he only has 30 minutes to go out to send emails, to shower, to do the various things that he can do, which I like to take 30-minute showers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that doesn't even happen every day. So with all things considered, you see how they treated Mumia, see how they treated Mutulu. This is their MO. This is the state's MO. If we can't kill you outright, then we're gonna do the long game.
Yeah. And if anybody has any doubts about that or wants to learn more about the absolute brutality of prisons in general and Kevin Rashid Johnson's treatment in particular, that interview we did with him, he laid out multiple situations that have happened to him that you would think was in like a bad prison movie, but happen routinely in the rotten correction facilities throughout this country. But I do want to ask a little bit more about medical treatment in prison. It's a fair assumption that a lot of people don't have at least firsthand accounts of what it's like, just basic health care in prison. Can you speak a little bit about that outside of even the context of his cancer diagnosis, but just what it's like for people in prison to get routine, high-quality medical care?
Just speaking to you from the first-hand accounts I've gotten from the comrade, he's even told me how he's gone to the doctor. Our doctor's been like, "Oh, we really need, this to happen for you. I'm gonna try to push for it." And it's kind of like with the how the police do stuff. Like if you get one person that's kind of trying to do the right thing, and your surroundings will push back on it. You might even get a transfer. You might even lose your job. You know what I'm saying? So right. It's like they're especially with someone who is a political prisoner, especially, they have no interest in treating you. You know what I'm saying? If you're an enemy of the state, they want you to die.
Right. And the healthcare front becomes, as you've alluded to, just another weapon in their arsenal to attack him and dehumanize him and make his time even shittier than it could possibly be. You did mention earlier before we started recording about another prisoner and their context and kind of connecting this story up with that. Do you want to touch on that?
Yes. So I was talking about Sean Flip Joyner. This is another new African man in Nottoway Correctional who's suffering from a brain tumor, and he's recently, he obviously got taken back to the hospital. He's now lost control over motor skills. We've been doing another campaign for him to get a compassionate release. We don't want anyone in prison to begin with, but also we don't want anyone dying in prison from something like this. We're calling for the compassionate release of to his family, so he doesn't have to die within these walls. We have like a change.org petition as well. I can send the link to that for later if anyone wants to check it out. But this isn't an isolated incident. This isn't just about Rashid. This is about all of our political prisoners and all of the people that are, incarcerated right now.
Yeah. Do you have any sense of how often the appeal to compassionate release actually works? Is it, like everything else, an absolute uphill battle, and is only sort of the exceptions or rare occasions where it actually comes through and works, or is there actually a little bit more robustness to that claim of, we need this person to be released because they're terminally ill and they don't want to die inside prison?
Yeah, so it's definitely a rarity. But something that's given me hope. Recently I met Comrade Jalil, and as you know, he was incarcerated for the last 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like stuff like that does give a little bit of hope. If we can get someone like Jalil back home, with his family, with friends, with comrades, then we can also do the same. As we know that the one thing the prisons hate more is people knowing what they're doing.
Exactly.
As long as if they feel like they have the protection of no one caring about incarcerated folks, then they think they can do whatever they want. And so the biggest thing is to let them know that, we see y'all, we know what y'all are doing. We're gonna call, we're gonna email, we're gonna keep highlighting the situation and making sure people know what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge deal with behind the phone zaps. Of course, you're working towards a goal, but also a byproduct of that is that it's showing the prison that this inmate or this set of inmates has people on the outside, friends, family, and beyond, that are monitoring the situation, that are actively caring about that person. And that in and of itself can at least act as a bulwark against the worst acts of depravity behind the scenes, because, as you said, they know on some level they're being watched and reports are getting out to people outside of the prison. Do you want to talk about also your organization in general? I know you mentioned something about a development with the Mass Org in particular, and I'd like to give you some time to talk about that.
No, for sure. We real quick too,
Yeah.
just for if people want like the full kind of like just like articles highlighting a lot of the timeline and stuff that's been happening, Rashid. You can find it on redvoice.news. They've been really helpful at putting stuff out there for us. So I just wanted to let people know about that.
Cool.
But also for the mass organization, the Panther Solidarity Organization, we've been making some pretty good headways here. I think we got our main group out in Newark. We've started to form multiple in New York City, where I'm based right now, specifically in Ridgewood. For Newark, we've been in, I guess people will call it, like a hood or whatever, called Bradley Court. We've been doing 2 Serve the People programs over a year now, which has been pretty great. We're doing hot breakfast Saturday mornings and doing dinners Wednesday nights in Bradley Court, and also, just like various activities with the kids, be it boxing, whatnot. Did a Halloween event, Black August event. We've got another Black August event obviously coming up. So it's been really nice because, the whole thing, with revolutionary communalism is that we want the folks in their areas to, determine what they need. And we want the mass organization to be something that the masses take up. And so it's been super inspiring, really, to see folks come out. And the masses will tell you what they see as well. So we have people all the time be like, yo, y'all are out here every week, like rain, sleet, snow, like, we'll show up, and they really appreciate that. And now they're offering, it's like, oh, do you want to, like, I can cook, like I can do this, I can do that. And we've had people dropping off stuff. We've got, people, cooking various parts of our dinners and meals now, mothers, people that, haven't, previously been politically active are now participating in it. And I think that's like the real difference between something that's charity and something that's solidarity.
Absolutely. Yeah, serving the people in, all weather conditions, being consistent with your presence, right? That's a huge thing with organizations. They'll get, they'll go on a meeting and come up with some idea, go into a community, it doesn't work out, they disappear. They're there for a month, 2 months, and they're gone. They could still do good stuff in that time, but you don't have enough time to form a connection with the community. But by serving the people consistently over time, as you say, there's almost a natural process of people from the community starting to get organized, coming in, trying to help the organization that they see as helping their community, and then you build revolutionaries and literally build organizers out of the masses in that way. And so it sounds like you're doing that to the T, and that's a learning experience for other organizations to definitely take note of. How can people, join or support? Let's say, whether they're in those in that locality or even outside of it. Is there any links or anything that people can go to either support or join?
Yeah, definitely. So essentially, we require 3 people in an area to be considered a collective. So if you have 3 people, you agree to our temporary program, and that's the only real barrier because it's the mass organization. So you want to make it
Accessible.
easy to participate in. We can send an email to general.secretary at RIBPP.org. And of course, you'll be contacted with us. We'll help you set up. We have our national group chat and stuff like that. So we have a lot of people that you can bounce ideas off of, ask questions, like anything you need to get started. We're definitely looking for it. And we also have another way too. We have our Panther Solidarity Movement. Essentially, if you have a group that you've already formed, but you're in solidarity with us, you agree with our temporary program, you just want to be linked with us in that way. We have that option as well. Kind of adjacent to that too, when it comes to street formation specifically, we're building this thing called the Clenched Fist Alliance that folks in these organizations that want to turn onto a more revolutionary aspect of their organization. That's another way to join up with as well.
Nice. So you have the Panther Solidarity Movement, the Clenched Fist Alliance, the Mass Org, and to join the Mass Org, you just have to more or less agree to the 10 points. And then the general.secretary.ribpp.com. I'll link to that in the show notes, as well as redvoice.news, etc. Try to make it as easy for people to access the links being mentioned throughout this episode. I guess as a more or less final question, this was a shorter episode meant to get out a specific acute set of points about Kevin Rashid Johnson's situation and the organization more broadly. But is there any other things that you wanted to say, and also how else can people help specifically with Rashid's situation, if at all?
I know one of the ways, just raising funds for organizational stuff. We've been putting Rashid's artwork out on T-shirts that you can buy from us. You can find it on via Instagram. I think the store is called Political Bay. I can send the link a little bit later. Okay. So that just helps us keep stuff running. Also keeping an eye out on our social medias, which is Intercommunal BPP on Instagram. We've got a Twitter as well. And just keep an eye out, because if they don't do, if a prison doesn't do what they say they're going to do, we're definitely going to need another push to keep them accountable, to keep them moving. Also wanted to for solidarity purposes, I really wanted to shout out some other groups that that are in alignment with us, and that we really like, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we've got Lao Marich, which is the Bangladeshi diaspora mass organization out here in New York City with us. They're doing fantastic work. Definitely check them out. Mexicanos Unidos, another a Mexican mainly mass organization out here. They do this thing called La Plaza every Sunday. They've organized all the vendors essentially in the area in Sunset Park in Brooklyn. They've been doing this for over a year, going out, taking over the parks, hosting pretty much just a large market every Sunday. It's beautiful. Definitely got to check it out. Anik Bayan, Manhattan, Gabriela Bayan, Filipino groups, New York Barico Resistance, which is a Puerto Rican group, Rookery Press, printing out, hard to find literature. We got Crow, the People's Collective in Sacramento, In the Spirit of Mandela, the Jericho Movement, and the San Francisco Bay News. They've been awesome out here, especially with the work for political prisoners. People's Portable Library out here in Newark, for the people, of course, and Red Voice News. We definitely, we love you guys. Thank y'all so much for all the solidarity. We Panther love forever.
Oh yeah, salute to all those comrades. It's beautiful to see all these organizations, coming to the scene and doing work, and it's awesome to start seeing them connect up and help each other out. It's a beautiful thing, and the social media is important for your organization specifically because a lot of news will be put out there. Like if there is another phone zap or another action needed, the social media accounts. At least that's how often I'll hear about. I'll hear about that stuff is through the social media accounts. So at the very least, follow and keep up on those. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, for keeping us up to date with Kevin Rashid Johnson's situation. Obviously, we care about that a lot. We're always here to get the word out as much as possible. And your organization in general is one that I personally deeply support and our show supports. So it's awesome to always check in with you and see how things are going. So, open invite anytime for any reason. You always have Rev Left here for you. And our hearts are definitely with Rashid and his struggle right now. And we'll do anything we can to help going forward.
Thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate it a lot.